What's up, y'all? Welcome back to Dad Needs to Talk. I'm your host, Robert, and today this will be my pretty much annual farewell episode for the year, as well as me kind of highlighting some of my favorite things in the back half of the episode. So this one will be a little bit different from how I've done the last few, whatever. Just because this year been pretty crazy and I wasn't able to do like individual, like how I've been doing the last few years, like individual, like, oh, favorite game, anime, movie, blah, 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 manga. I'm not able to do that this year. So I was like, you know what? This episode will be the final one of the year. Of course, y'all will probably see this on New Year's Day, but I'm going to do a just kind of like a reflection on life and the podcast and stuff, personal life stuff in the first part of the episode. And then later on, and of course, I'll have timestamps for these sections. I will go through and kind of highlight some of my favorite games and manga and anime and TV shows and movies and all that fun stuff along the way. So, before I get into all that, as always, if this is your first time here, then welcome. But if you're a returning listener or watcher, then welcome back. Y'all know here at Dad Needs to Talk, it's all about fatherhood and family, manga, anime, TV shows, and of course, some video games. Man, once again, I sit here on New Year's Eve, and I feel like years from now, hopefully, whether it be just me wanting to just kind of get like a quick glimpse slash kind of like time lapse of my life during these years or what. But it's kind of scary in a way being able to just kind of sit down and pull up a recording of yourself a year ago and kind of hear where your mind was, what life was like a year ago before doing this again. And it's good in a reflective sense, but honestly, sometimes I think it's also a brutal reminder of how little I might have progressed in the last year. It's kind of the harsh truth of things because I watched a little bit. I watched maybe like 10, 15 minutes or so of the episode from last year, and it's like some of the issues and things and concerns, like, oh, I'm gonna do better on this and that or whatever. It's like, man, I didn't do that this year. And that was kind of a brutal thing to hear and to think about before I sat down to record this episode. And before I keep going, obviously, like I said, there's timestamps if you want to get to the other stuff, whatever. But this is just kind of just me unfiltered, just reflecting on the current state of things and this past year and stuff. But and then I also decided to go and listen to the one from 22, so 2 years ago. And I've kind of noticed a unfortunate pattern of, and it won't, and it'll be the same thing with what I'm about to tell you for this year, but just how holiday time has not been too kind to me um in the last 4 years, to be honest. Because obviously the catalyst for me creating this podcast in 2021, my sister passing in October of 2020, my wife's grandfather 2 days before Christmas in 2020, then my mother um, just a couple weeks after my birthday in January of 21. That was obviously some brutal stuff. And then kind of going back to uh, listen to other things, whatever. It was like, oh yeah, it was like no, of course nothing is crazy, whatever. But it was like, man, like the end of 22, on New Year's Eve, I was going to visit some family, whatever, and my uncle, them, my mom's siblings, uncle and my aunts, they had got stranded out in East Texas. Their car broke down on New Year's Eve in 22, and I had honestly completely forgot about that, and I had just talked to my uncle just a few hours ago, or whatever, and like that memory literally had left my mind for these last couple of years. But it was like, man, okay, yeah, I had to go make a trip down to East Texas to pick up my uncle and my aunts and stuff, whatever. Which I'm, of course, grateful that I'm able to do, whatever. And then it was like 23. It was like, okay, well, actually, no, this was still 22, I believe. Where my yes, where my wife's car got hit the day after Christmas of 22, whatever, and then kind of rolling into 23 or whatever, and it's like having to get a new car for my wife, or finally being able to get a new car and stuff, whatever, and different things like that. Um, and then here we are at the end of 2024, and it's kind of scary in a way of looking back on it or whatever. Of some major life stuff happened in less than 24 hours from me recording this last year. So I recorded it New Year's Eve 23, as I've tried to do for the most part the last few years. And in between the time when I had recorded it, and I think I had already published it probably like that at midnight or whatever. Um, and like I said, I'm not going to get into all the details on it or whatever, but we suffered a very tragic death in the family on New Year's Day. And so, like I said, that literally happened like maybe like the morning of or something of New Year's Day of this year, 2024. And like I said, it's just kind of freaky thinking about the fact that like I had recorded my recap and stuff of last year, or whatever, and then literally within 24 hours, my family, the emotional state that my wife and the kids were in because of who the person was that had passed away and the manner in which they passed away, it's kind of crazy to think about. And so that was kind of a very brutal start to the year. Um, and just kind of a snowball effect of things that have just happened throughout the year. Obviously, there have been, some bright spots and stuff along the way, but there have also been lots of pain and suffering that came along with it, and even more uh, harsh life lessons that happen along the way. But like I said, that happened at the start of the year. My wife's grandmother moved in with us back in August, literally the week leading up to school starting. So that was a crazy week that I've already told in past episodes around that time. I've mentioned, my wife had to have some surgery and stuff done a couple months ago, and then she was kind of in and out the hospital within the last month or whatever. Uh, and yeah, lost one of my mom's close friends passed away a few months ago as well. So had to travel back home to pay my respects to her and the family and stuff. Um, and yeah, so this year, had some very tough moments to deal with, but even amongst those dark days and dark moments, um, there were some highlights of some things, whatever. I was finally able to get myself a new vehicle and stuff, because I had a moment when I was driving to work during Christmas week, because a lot of people are on PTO, school is out, so the highways are kind of dead. And traveling the same highways I've traveled for years now, but specifically, there's one particular highway going down 161 George Bush, and last year, so my Dodge Journey I had last year, the major problem I had was my front shocks had gone extremely bad. Um, well before this time last year, whatever, and I kept that car through at least February or March. And literally, as I'm driving, the front of my car is tune, 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 tune. Especially like if the road, if it's just like, hey, a nice smooth road, it's fine. But certain highways, you driving and it's like, like the front of my car just bouncing or whatever. Like it was very scary. And so as I was driving to work last week during Christmas week, like I said, I kind of just had a moment of reflection of like, man, this has been a crazy year, but there have been some improvements, some bright spots, and me being blessed and fortunate enough to be able to get this new vehicle, whatever, to where it was like, man, I'm driving nice and smooth and comfortably, more so than I was, this time last year, whatever, was definitely a moment of reflection. And even throughout all the, you know, tough times and tough days that, I've had, my family's had this year, whatever, it's still moments like that I'm like, things have been worse or things could be so much worse. Cause I even had a moment when I was uh I had left work because I didn't eat lunch that day, whatever. So I had left to grab me a bite to eat and then to head home. And so as I'm, leaving from where I got my food or whatever, and I was just driving down the road, and so I, passing by, I see a guy, just standing there, whatever, kind of like, look like he was maybe eating or snacking on something, whatever. But then as I got closer, I see three small kids sitting on the ground. They're, the whole family's kind of like bundled up, and like the kids are sitting there. They're eating whatever the dad's there eating whatever, and it's like, man, I definitely wish that I had something to give in that moment because, obviously as a father, as a parent myself, whatever, I was like, man, I don't hope I never have to be in that position and situation and stuff. But and especially like with some small children, and stuff, whatever. And like I said, it's just like another moment of, you know, reflection of things could be so much worse. Um, but yeah, with all that said, some other positive things this year, we got to travel to Ohio this summer. My oldest son, his team played out in Ohio, so that was a awesome adventure for me. I never been up to Ohio, and so getting a chance to kind of go on a road trip, me, my wife, my oldest son, and my baby Vash, um, and just kind of getting to see a new location, a new area and stuff. My son getting to see and experience, you know, styles of play and different players from all across the country and some from even out of the country and stuff. Well, it was a very fun road trip, but also with that, like I mentioned at the time, definitely going to adjust my hours of travel, because I'm trying to think. We left at like 5 in the afternoon, like 4 or 5 in the afternoon, and I didn't really realize about the time zone change as well. So we literally, made that drive in more or less one shot, um, and made it there just in time for him to get out the car and run in and get on the court and stuff. So yeah, so I was like, yeah, I'm definitely not gonna try to avoid that or whatever. But but yeah, so that happened. Also this year, I became a great uncle. I'll never forget, like beginning of the summer, like around Mayish or whatever. Both of my two oldest nieces, so my brother's oldest daughter and my sister's oldest daughter, both called me literally a week apart, both on Sundays, to tell me that they were expecting children. My oldest niece, my brother's daughter, Tyra, she called me and was like, "Yep, I'm pregnant, and the baby is coming in like literally like 2 months." But she had her baby boy. He's nice and chunky and healthy. I'm happy to see that. Got to see some pictures of him from Christmas, and then my other niece, Sarah, my sister's oldest daughter. I got to see her last weekend for her birthday, and so got to touch her belly and feel the baby kick and stuff, which is just kind of surreal as because this particular niece, I was 11 when she was born, and so just kind of I can literally just picture it in my mind right now, someone that I literally held from birth, from a baby, and I got to see grow up into this awesome young woman, and now her about to have a daughter of her own in the coming days. It's just like kind of crazy to really reflect on and to think about, man. But that is the circle of life, that we go through. And I kind of got to reflect on some of that with my uncle Leonard a while ago, um, just because even he was kind of going down memory road and stuff. Because he was kind of in a similar situation because he's the youngest, or one of the youngest of his siblings or whatever. And so he was 10, 11 years old when my mom had my older brother and sister. And so he kind of grew up with, he was a young uncle that grew up with my older brother and sister and different things like that. So, and like I've mentioned before, I was 4 years old when my brother had his first child or whatever. And so similar things. So, but yeah, it's wild, but it's a beautiful thing to get to see and experience new generations coming along and stuff. So yeah, yeah. Another thing as well, and I won't get too much into it because I never really have dove too deep into this, whatever, on the podcast. But I'll just mention that I've continued to have conversations and to build up a relationship with my own dad and stuff throughout this year, which has definitely been very interesting, but also insightful. As somebody who I didn't grow up with in the house and didn't really know too much about aside from just name um, and general family stuff, whatever. It's kind of been a interesting perspective, kind of getting to hear his side of things in regards to me and my birth and growing up and learning things about him that explain some things about me and my habits and mannerisms and different things like that. So yeah, so that's all I'm going to really touch on that for now. Like I said, I hope to someday uh, be in a place mentally where I can dive deeper into that story. But uh, but yeah, overall, like I said, this year has been very interesting in many aspects, and I kind of like I said, as I was kind of listening to the episode from last year and kind of as this year has been kind of winding down and things about ramping up after this Christmas break and kids going back to school, wife going back to work, and things getting back in full force. um it's just like there can't be repeat excuses year after year. And like I said, like some things or just it made me doing this podcast and like I said, having those recordings from a year ago really showed my disorganization and my lack of discipline, uh, to where things kind of get in a really good spot, life gets comfortable, and then I kind of take my hands off the steering wheel a little too early, sometimes way too early, off of assumptions and things like that, and then find myself trying to steer back on course and struggling to do so, and the domino effect that continues to have year after year. And so it was something I heard on one of my podcasts I like listening to. I think it was the host Maddie and Cog from Defining Duke, a Xbox podcast that I listened to. Uh, a interesting thing that one of the hosts had talked about, obviously is like, not doing like the traditional New Year's resolutions and things like that that people tend to try to do every year. That's not even something that I've never really even adhered to, whatever myself, but it was something like a word for the year to kind of like set the tone um, for things. And I definitely think that my word going into 2025 has to be discipline, um, because things are truly, truly, truly ramping up in a way, especially with, now us having uh, another family member in the house, with my wife's grandmother and stuff living here, and those dynamics and things like that. And it's like, okay, I have even more people and even more things that I have to be uh, cognizant of and responsible for, and who knows what other unexpected life things may happen that I need to give myself more cushion for those times and for those moments and stuff. And so discipline is truly the word that I need to keep front of mind, uh, as this year is winding down, and as I'm kind of looking forward and trying to plan these coming days, weeks, months, and stuff. So, because yeah, things are only just going to be get busier and busier from here with my kids and stuff, because you know with next school year. So when we get to August of next year, hopefully, my older three will all be in 10th grade, fully in the high school. My middle son will be transitioning up to middle school, and then Vash will be where he is. But that'll add another level of things, because then we will also have to deal with whatever activities and stuff my middle son wants to do on top of the older three. So, it's like that part of the organization and planning and having financial cushion and discipline and all these other different things in place, in order, so that we can do and maneuver how we need to. Cause yeah, like y'all have heard me talk about enough over these last few years, and especially this most recent year with the podcast, just how much all this stuff has like really ramped up and gotten busy and everything in between and stuff. So yeah, so definitely gotta do better, and like I said, discipline has to be the word. I do want to get a new tattoo at some point, because I kind of like the idea. I kind of want to get like a sword or something here of some sort. But it's like obviously the money and stuff for it, but I really want to be very mindful of the design and stuff. Just because I don't plan on really getting too many more tattoos because I only have just obviously, you know, the Ouroboros on my shoulder. But I don't know how many more tattoos or anything I might get, but I know this one in particular that I'm thinking about for my arm. I really want that one to be truly special and truly meaningful. So I have some ideas I'm kind of floating around in my head for that and stuff. So, but yeah. So I think that might be it with the life stuff that like I said, I kind of just wanted to talk about and reflect on. And I will kind of say, kind of like last thing in regards to, my wife and, her grandmother and stuff living here. It is kind of interesting because, I've seen it, I've been a part of it over the course of my life. But of course, as a child and stuff, obviously, living with me and my mom, or kind of being back and forth between, my mom had a house in town, but I spent a lot of time out at my grandma's out in the country. I mean, my mom both out at my grandma's house and different permeations and things like that. You know, me living with my sister, seeing my mom go and live with my sister, my mom living with her sisters, and just different things like that. Over the course of life, years ago, my wife's sister, my sister-in-law, her family and stuff had it moving with us for a year or whatever, which that was insane. I'm pretty sure I talked about that at some point in time. It was shoot, that was 4 adults, and at the time, oh man, how many kids was that? Man, so at one point in time, we had 4 adults, and I think that would be 9 kids because we have five with Vash included, and then my sister-in-law they have four because Vash has a cousin that was born just a couple months after him or whatever. And so yeah, during that time, originally it was 4 adults and 7 kids, and my wife and her sister were both pregnant. So it's 4 adults, two of which are pregnant at the same time, and 7 kids living together, and then we ended up having all of that with 2 newborns. Like yeah, that was probably the craziest, crazier than anything I'm going through right now. But yeah, so life just keeps going or whatever, and like I said, I hope. I just want to start off the new year positively. I want to get to my birthday positively. Because honestly, ever since my 30th birthday in 2020, I think it has been something crazy almost ever since because I had got extremely sick um, around the time of my 30th birthday, which super sucked. Um, and then my 21st birthday, I'm trying to think. I think I was able to have a solid 21st birthday because well no, I'm trying to lower all this stuff's kind of blurring together, but one of those, it was either the 21st or the 22nd. I had a solid birthday, um, but obviously, with the a death on New Year's this year, that was so close. We were dealing with freaking funeral stuff around my birthday, and then the year before, dealing with my wife's car and stuff, whatever. So yeah, my 30s, birthday wise, have been pretty brutal. So I just want to get into the new year. Hopefully, the rest of the week goes fine. I can give me a nice fresh cut because my hair, I can't deal with my hair growing out any longer. Um, and hopefully get to enjoy my 35th birthday. Um, so, but we shall see, man. Man, freaking 35 is around the corner, less than a week away, y'all. That is kind of crazy to kind of think of. But yeah, and I will say kind of like last thing on life is my job and stuff, continues to be solid and supportive. And honestly, I wouldn't be able to do what I do life wise and stuff without the position I have with my job and work and stuff and the flexibility that I have there. So I'm definitely, grateful to be where I am with that. But I truly hope that hopefully, I so hope that a year from now, when I hopefully sit down to record my farewell to 2025, that things will be better. I will be better. Um, and yeah, so moving on from that, just some quick things on the podcast. So overall, solid year. I think let me see, I think I got 71 new subscribers this year, which is pretty cool. And yeah, man, like I said, I don't have too much to say. But I'm just, eternally grateful for all the new people and the returning and continuing people who listen to me or anything I have to say for various reasons, whether you're just here to listen to me talk about my family and life and kids stuff, whatever, or if you're just here for my cool manga recommendations or anime or TV shows, movies, or video games, or anything in between, or any combination of everything. I am grateful to you for sticking with me and for supporting me and stuff, whatever. You know, this year I didn't really get to do any. I don't know. I did manage to do one collaboration this year, one for sure, maybe another one, but one for sure, where I got to be on the uh, Three Weebs podcast for their celebratory 100th episode. So that was super awesome to finally get to record with those three. Obviously, I got to meet all three of them 2 years ago at DreamCon 2022 when it was hosted here in Dallas. And so it was nice to be able to chit chat and kind of get to experience the chaos, the fun chaos, and energy that they bring to their show, whatever, and just see like truly how authentic and how much of a fun trifecta unit that those three are together. So shout out to them. I don't know if any of them will ever hear this, whatever, but shout out to y'all. Uh, Shout out to Lisa from the Wonder of Anime for continuing to be a friend. You and Key and Steve and Rob J and Polo and Tell and so many other amazing people that I have met through this podcast and through this show. Um, I'm happy that I have some people that I can DM or some I can even text and things of that nature to where, I don't really have many, close friends and stuff, nowadays and stuff. And so I definitely do appreciate those times y'all have, listened to me or even just giving me just somebody to just talk to, whatever. Because that is definitely something that I need to do and be better about. Which, speaking of which, I almost forgot. Um, I'm glad I got to go to at least one event this year, Blurred Bash, because that was my first time in well over a year going out to any event or whatever. And so that was a very interesting experience, but I think a very important one just because it is important for me to, regardless of how busy and crazy my family life and stuff is, that I have to find these small pockets, even if it's just for a day or several hours, whatever the case may be, just to get out, be around other people than my family and stuff. So I'm glad that I did do that, and I'm hopeful that I can do that some more next year and beyond that. And I do hope that sometime in 2025 that I am able to get back to a place where I can record and have guests and do all that fun stuff, because I truly miss having those conversations. I truly miss having guests on the show, and anybody that is listening, like I say all the time that this comes up, if I have talked about having you on, and some of y'all have been literally waiting years, like it's people that I had this discussion with back when I first started the podcast, that we have not been able to line up and get things going and stuff, whatever. I have not forgotten y'all. I have a list of people, and I am just waiting for things to kind of line up in a way for me to be able to have those conversations and stuff again. And speaking of which, I do look forward to also, diving back into my manga bag and stuff, whatever. Because it's been fun over this last year and stuff, especially seeing so many kind of like niche series or whatever that I talked about the manga for within the last couple of years get anime adaptations, either that have already come out or that are about to come out. And so little things like that just kind of reignited that spark in me, and just people that reach out and comment or whatever, being like, oh, okay, whenever I'm talking about a series on the timeline on Twitter or Blue Sky or whatever, and people been like, yo, I never heard of this. Thanks for putting this on my radar. Or man, yeah, I had stopped reading this years ago. I need to go back to it or whatever. So I appreciate, you know, having been able to shine that spotlight on something for people. And so that's definitely something that, I want to continue doing. And so I'm, still trying to think and figure out of stuff of how to do and how to handle the podcast and things like that. So, but all in all, this was a solid year. Like I said, like when I look at the numbers and stuff, whatever, it's like, okay, this did, you know, good, considering I feel like I didn't get to do as much as I really wanted to, whatever. But people did enjoy some of my shows and my conversations and things of that nature. And so, yeah, just want to continue doing that. Uh, yeah, I don't think I have nothing else to really say on the podcast front. So I think I am going to go ahead and transition into talking about some of my favorite things of the year, I believe. So let me pause this real quick, and I'm gonna see if I don't think of any other life or podcast stuff, then we will dive into it. Okay, so before I get into talking about the games specifically themselves, just gaming in general this year was pretty interesting because, like, myself personally, unfortunately, like I'm like after talking about all the life stuff that I went through, whatever, like I just really didn't play that many games this year. And I also didn't have the extra funds I normally would to maybe get some of these games. And I've tried to be a little bit more selective, obviously, about the games I'm getting, and then also being patient, because between obviously the how many games that are coming out, the prices they're coming out as, and then with how patching and updates and all that stuff goes, whatever, a lot of times it's for the best to wait um, before diving into certain games and stuff. And so there are several games I'm gonna go through or whatever, because I'm starting at the top of the year and just kind of just run through, reflecting on stuff that kind of just sticks out, as far as like whether it be something that I played or just a game that I know had an impact on the year or whatever. But yeah, just kind of speaking on the gaming world in general this year. Obviously, lots of layoffs and stuff still happened this year. Uh, we saw the phenomenon of like Power World was a big hit earlier in the year, and then obviously that led to the lawsuit stuff between them and Nintendo, uh, and then we saw the shutdown of Game Informer, which like it's sad losing that site in general. But as I'm kind of like, I went to GameSpot, they have a little release schedule, whatever. But like, Game Informer was also my go-to website for their release calendar. They had a really nice, really nice, pleasantly designed release calendar and stuff, whatever. That was kind of like my go-to resource for this stuff. But but yeah, so that happening, and uh, obviously the Concord situation, which hurts me personally because I really liked Concord and stuff like that. So, oh, and of course, freaking Microsoft and Xbox going more multi-platform than what they already were with, and it's kind of crazy. And I know obviously lots of, different podcasts and stuff have already talked about this in great depth, but it is definitely just like really interesting thinking about how they went through so much with getting Activision finally last year. Like that deal, took way longer than I think anybody thought that it would. But it seemed like okay, they finally got the deal done, and now we about to see the full vision of what Microsoft and Xbox can are trying to do or whatever. But then it's like almost immediately it's like, oh nope, a lot of our games are gonna be coming out on all platforms, and so it's kind of like, okay, well, a lot of games that they have coming up that look cool because even like Indiana Jones, I know a lot of people was like, ooh, I might either obviously their stuff was already on PC, but people were kind of like, huh, maybe I might get a X, like a Series S or something, whatever, for this. But then it was like immediately they were almost like, nope, it's coming to PS5. A few months later, it's like, okay, well, I can wait a few months. There's plenty of games to play, and so it just like felt like they kind of like cut the tree down a little bit too early before it could like really grow and stuff. So, but yeah, that's definitely been like a big thing. So, but anyway, so going through this year in games. So I'm kind of running through, and the first thing that popped up that I see is Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown, which, and I don't know, I might not waste time going through. Yeah, I'm not gonna waste time clicking on all of these, whatever. I'm just gonna just share just quick thoughts, but yeah, but this was a really fun game. I didn't get a chance to finish it, which is the case with a lot of games I played this year, but it is one that I probably. It's once again they've done a lot of updates. That they added some free DLC and a bunch of other stuff, whatever. This might be one that I might end up just doing a fresh playthrough, or whatever, just to kind of make sure I'm in a good groove with it, because this might be a little bit tougher to kind of jump back into this type of game. But this was like a very fun, I guess, like a Metroidvania style game uh, that came out at the start of the year. So, and shout out one big thing I want to say shout out to that I'm happy to continue to see, and that is game demos, because they put out a demo for this like either like at the very end of last year or the beginning of 24, but that changed my mind on it because I've never really played many of the Prince of Persia games back in the day, and so kind of looking at it, I'm like, okay, this look like it might be my thing. And then like the biggest thing for me was learning that this game was made by the same team who made the Rayman Legends and Rayman Origins games from a decade ago. This is what they've been working on. And so it was like, yo, that is very cool and very dope to see. So, but yeah, so shout out to Prince of Persia, Lost the Crown. Let's see, scrolling through. Like a Draft Game, Infinite Wealth, and Tekken 8 was a very dope double header. I didn't play either of those. So, uh, first kind of like big flop that I had purchased this year, Suicide Squad: Kill the Justice League. Bought it full price, at launch. And I will say, on my defense, I bought it after I had got to play the multiplayer beta like end of last year or end of the year before. And so I liked the bits and pieces that we got to see with that. But obviously didn't know at the time that a lot of like the enemy stuff, whatever, was just on repeat throughout the full game. And so it was like, man, like there are like some sparks and nuggets of hope in this, whatever. But it was like, nope, sadly, no. So, but I already paid for it, and they did all that free DLC throughout the year that I didn't try any of it because I didn't even finish the primary game, and now the game is freaking like $20 or less. I'm like, my wallet is like, why, Robert? Why? So, lesson learned again, but it is what it is. Let's see, Persona 3 Reloaded. Helldivers 2 was the next big phenomenon that kind of took over the gaming industry this year. Yeah, so this is one that I know, like the original Helldivers. I think that was what only on the Vita back in the day. Uh, it had its community and stuff, whatever. But like this one really took the world by storm. It's this one like the highest selling games of the year. Heck, it like word of it even reached my wife and stuff to where she was asking me. She was like, "Hey, dude, do you have this game called Helldivers 2?" And she was about to try to get me to buy it or whatever, but she ended up, it didn't. The conversation didn't come up anymore, whatever. But just the fact that my wife, who primarily plays on her Xbox, whatever, was kind of like looking to maybe kidnap my PlayStation for it or whatever, because her friends love their multiplayer games and stuff. So, but yeah, that was very dope to see the wave of stuff with that. And kind of going back a little bit because I had to double check the date on this with another game I mentioned earlier, Power World. So that had came out actually January 19th. So that kind of came over and also had its kind of moment in the sun where it had sold several million copies and stuff early on. And so that was a pretty fun wave to see or whatever, even though, yeah, it had its jankiness, whatever, but it was just fun. Kind of reminds me of just like the fun nature of back in 2016 with Pokemon Go, just out exploring the world, doing stuff, whatever. And so, kind of having like a semi Pokemon esque world, fully 3D survival stuff, though, where you're going out, you're exploring the world, you're building camps and different things like that, or whatever, was pretty fun. So, shout out to that. So, continuing on, this is when I still never got to that Banisher's Ghost of New Eden, Ultros. This Tomb Raider 1 through 3 remastered looked super dope and fun. I know a lot of people love being able to dive back into those classic games. Let's see, anything else? Shout out to Pacific Drive. I never played that one myself, but that was when I just enjoyed the vibe of that game and just watching gameplay streams and stuff of it. Very, very like a sci-fi atmospheric type of game. So I was looking at almost buying it because it went on a pretty deep sale over the holidays, and I was like, I kind of want to get it just to kind of show a little bit of support just for them doing this like really unique idea and stuff, whatever. But maybe if I get some extra coins to play with next year, I'll pick it up just to have. So okay, so continuing on, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Not really my thing, but I know that was a huge one for a lot of people this year. Let's see, going through March. Do 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 do. Not really seeing anything stick out. Yeah, I know a lot of people, a lot of JRPG people love that Unicorn Overlord game. Uh, yeah. Oh, Dragon's Dogma 2 was like a big another case of a game from like a just like Helldivers 2 from like a more kind of like niche game community thing from back in the day, whatever. Dragon's Dogma 2 exploded, sold several of million copies or whatever. So shout out to them, and shout out to these companies kind of like taking some chances and circling back to some of these uh, cult classics, I would say, with some of this stuff. Rise of the Ronin is one I still want to get to someday, or whatever. I downloaded the demo for it, but I'm just not, just wasn't really feeling the mood for it or whatever. So, but you know, let's see, do. April. Let's see what we got in April. Oh yeah, so April. That's kind of when March and April is kind of when we started seeing the Xbox games make their way over to PS5 and PS4 and stuff. So this is where we got Pentiment and Grounded and Hi-Fi Rush and Sea of Thieves. So I had bought Pentiment and I enjoyed my bit of playing it or whatever. I wish I would have just stuck with it because that's a game I don't know if I would be able to like easily dive back into it or whatever, just from like a story perspective. But who knows? Maybe I might find time to kind of like squeeze that in. But let's see, just scrolling through the month, seeing if anything else kind of like really sticks out. Tales of Kenzera Zao. That's another kind of like a fun Metrovania game that I had fun playing because that one was on PlayStation Plus Extra when it came out, so I had fun playing that one. Uh, this Demon Slayer board, sweep the board game, don't know what that is. Sandland. I didn't get a chance to get the full game. That's another one that if I get it on like a really good sale, I'm gonna pick it up because I want to play it, but I know Vash really wants to play it. So once again, this is a demo I had downloaded, and I was enjoying having fun playing the demo. And like literally, maybe once every few weeks or whatever, Vash will turn on the PS5, and then he'll go find Sandland, and he loves driving around the cars or like the little vehicles and fighting stuff, whatever, fighting the little enemies and stuff. So that's a game that he's really enjoyed exploring and stuff. So I would love to buy the full game so he can experience the full thing. So another big one, same day as Sandland, was a Stellar Blade, uh, which is another one that is on my list of stuff that I definitely want to catch on a good sale and play through whatever. This is another one that I've really enjoyed my time with the demo and stuff. So hopefully I'll get to that game. Let's see. Hades 2 early access started on PC in May. Do. See, 1000 Times Resist. That's a game, and V Rising. Those are games that were only on like on PC and stuff. 1000 Times Resist was also on Switch, but my Switch is kind of out of commission right now. But yeah, so those are something that I was kind of interested in. Animal Well, I tried that out. I really liked the weirdness of it, but I never finished it because it had some difficulty with it or whatever. Very obtuse with some of like the puzzle solving and stuff, whatever. But still a very cool idea. Let's see, Crow Country, nice little like horror game. A lot of people liked Little Kitty Big City. My wife and Vash liked playing that one. Let's see. Da, 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 da. Yeah, trying to see. Hellblade 2 kind of came and went with the whimper in May. Uh, Paper Mario Thousand Year Door remake on the Switch. Uh, yeah, that's it for May. Let's see. Looking through June, Destiny 2 Final Shape. That that is one that I truly wish that I was still deep into Destiny or whatever, because I can only imagine like going through that experience just from everything I've heard people talk about with that experience, whatever. Sounded fantastic. Elden Ring, Shadow of the Earth Tree, y'all already know what it is with that. That's a game I still probably would like to maybe try someday on my own, but I enjoy watching the streams and stuff of it. Da, 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 da. Yeah, nothing much in July that sticks out to me. Oh, college football returns after over a decade. college football returns, and last I checked, it was the number one selling game of the year. We'll see if it'll hold that title through the end of this month or whatever. So, but that game came back with a humongous force, and it was moving consoles, which is to be expected. So, first college football game in over a decade. Yeah, and so people were buying PS5s and Xboxes and stuff, whatever, to be able to get in on the game. So we're happy to see that have some awesome success, and hopefully, we'll see how they handle that if they're trying to do that yearly, whatever. So we'll see. Another game that I really enjoyed, there was a nice little gem for me, was it's a game called Arranger. It was like a role puzzling adventure that was like super fun, where you play as this girl that basically as you move through the world or whatever, you're moving the tiles that everything is placed upon. So you're causing chaos. If you're in a house and you're moving around, if there's a chair or a fridge or a bed or whatever on the same row as what you're moving or whatever, you'll be moving that around. So it was a fun little puzzle game, adventure puzzle game. All right, so we're in August. Uh, Thank goodness you're here was a very interesting looking game. Didn't get to play it myself. Let's see. Where is it at? Where is it at? Black Myth Wukong was another humongous tour de force this year, especially in China and stuff like that. Game like took over everywhere when it came out, which was cool to see. Uh, all right. My sweet child that left us too soon, Concord. I've already done so many episodes talking about Concord and stuff, whatever, so I won't belabor the point here, whatever. But I liked the potential that I saw there, and I was sad to see it go, and that's where I will leave that. Let's see. Star Wars Outlaws came out. That's another one that hopefully I can get to later on, and I'm glad things kind of worked out in a very interesting way, because before Concord came along, my August game originally was going to be Star Wars Outlaws, just because I'm like, oh, a Ubisoft game done by the Division studio. Uh, so I'm like, yeah, this sounds and looks dope, or whatever. But of course, Concord, the beta came out. I had fun, so that's where my money went to. And then, obviously, I was gonna be playing Astrobot, which I'm gonna talk about in a second. So I was like, well, I'll get Outlaws later. And there was a lot of glitches and bugs and just structural problems with the game that people didn't like. So okay, I'm like, okay, dodge a bullet on that one. And they've been doing a lot of work and stuff. So hopefully, maybe I can circle back to that at a later date. So yeah, so like I said, Astrobot was the next big one. That game is a huge hit with me and Vash. It just brings so much joy and fun and stuff. And also just kind of getting a chance to kind of introduce Vash to some classic series and characters and stuff that I grew up with, because we're unlocking the different little bots, and he's like, "Oh, Daddy, who is that? Oh, who? What is that?" And then even himself kind of me helping him kind of like connect the dots. I'm like, hey, some of these things are from stuff that you played, like the Sackboy bot and the Rayman one, and different little things like that or whatever. To where like he would look at the bot, and then I would show him the actual character. I'm like, hey, well, look at this. Oh, so that was very fun. His favorite level is the freaking Ape Escape level. So he just loved playing through that level so many times. So shout out to Astrobot. And shout out to the Christmas level that they released last week, whatever. So, uh, Warhammer Space Marine 2 was another phenomenon. They came out. Uh, this Rugrats Gameland. Let's see. Do. Scrolling. Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Game Collection. Uh, Plucky Squire was cute. Me and Vash didn't finish that, but it was a cute idea that I think the cuteness, didn't have a a strong enough game to support it or whatever. So, but I do kind of want to circle back to that and kind of finish that up at some point. Let's see. Scrolling through Zelda Echoes of Wisdom, that's when I hope to maybe get to at some point when the new Switch comes out next year. uh, let's see, we're in October, so what do we got? Silent Hill 2 remake, Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. That was both of those were big hits and stuff. Of course, Sparking Zero did what it did. Metaphor Fantasio, big hit. I think that might be it. Well, Black Ops 6 came out, and this was the first, obviously, first Call of Duty being on Game Pass. So my wife downloaded it. She's been having fun playing it consistently and stuff. So she loves that game. I watched her play through like chunks of the campaign, and even that looked phenomenal. So moving on from there, Sonic X Shadow Generations. Uh, Red Dead Redemption 1 finally came to PC freaking 14 years later after the original release. Dragon Age the Veilguard, new Dragon Age came after a decade. And then November, we're kind of winding things down, nothing too much sticking out. New Mario and Luigi game. Yeah, yeah. That Lego Horizons game, like it didn't do too hotly. And then then I think the last big one that really capped off the year was that Indiana Jones and the Great Circle game. So aside from those, real quick, I'll also just quickly shout out me and Vash played and got into Cuphead this year, Cat Quest 3. I played Children of Morta. I played Minute, Vampire Survivors, Dredge, and I mentioned Pentiment. So yeah. So moving on from that, I think I'm gonna dive into movies and TV. I'm gonna kind of shorten this up a bit or whatever, because I realized I think that game section probably went a little bit too long, but it is what it is. So movies. So this year I got to see a decent amount of movies or whatever. I'm gonna give a shout out to though. I saw Poor Things on New Year's Eve last year, or whatever. So because I can't remember if I got a chance to talk about that at all last year or not. But yeah. So shout out to that movie. Then the first real movie, or the first movie fully this year I got to watch was Argyle. That was a fun little spy movie that came out earlier this year. So that was a really fun one. Let me go back. We'll go to the next set. Come on. Come on. Hate that it logged me out. Let's see. This next group. Okay. American Fiction. That was a very interesting movie. Doom Part 2, probably my favorite that I watched this year. I watched it freaking 2 times. I think 2 times once in IMAX and the other time in Dolby. So phenomenal movie. And I haven't like fully watched it a third time, but I have watched certain sections and stuff of it several times throughout the year. Of course, now they put it on HBO Max. They just put it on Netflix on today, New Year's Eve, and so I've like put it on and as background noise as I've gone to sleep. So fantastic movie. Monkey Man, that was a very dope action movie. Challengers, that was a very very fun and spicy movie. Shout out to Zendaya, and I just love it because like I said, I had little to no idea of like what this movie truly was about until I saw it or whatever, and I saw this in Dolby. Awesome experience with the music and stuff, whatever, real vibe. Let's see. Then after that, I saw Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. Super good movie. Saw that in IMAX. Uh, saw the Furiosa, the new Mad Max movie. That one was okay. Um, didn't really stick in my mind too much like a lot of these movies so far has, but it was solid. Haikyuu, the dumpster battle. I went and saw that. That was super dope getting to see that match fully animated and stuff. So that was a really good one. Let's see. After that, uh, me and my oldest son, we went and saw Deadpool and Wolverine, and obviously that In Sync, bye 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 opening sequence lives in my brain. But overall, the movie was just super dope, super fun. Worst movie I saw this year, Borderlands. Nothing else I need to say about that. The Wild Robot pulled in my heartstrings. Transformers One was super cool, super dope. Uh, Movie that I saw, man. I'm glad that I gave it a shot because there are certain scenes and moments and stuff, whatever, that were like super dope, and I hope that they get a chance to do another movie. So, because I really liked this one, and I wish I would have taken my middle son to go see it or whatever. So, but schedules, we weren't able to. I wasn't able to take him with me. So, look back. Good to see that animated. Metropolis, Osamu Tezuka's Metropolis. This was definitely a interesting movie. Getting a chance to go and see this uh, for the first time myself, a movie that originally came out in the early 2000s. So that was a really good watch experience. So this Christmas pageant I didn't watch. That was a ticket I ordered for my daughter, her for us to go watch. Wicked. Me and my daughters went and saw that earlier in the month, whatever. Super awesome, fun time. Really, we all really enjoyed watching that movie, and we look forward to hopefully watching part two next year. And then lastly, I cap it all off with a complete unknown. Once again, Timothy Chalamet, kind of bookending my year in a sense with doing two at the beginning of the year, and then this movie, complete unknown, which was the Bob Dylan movie, whatever. Awesome performance, and a really, really, really cool movie. All right, so moving on from movies, let me close some of these tabs. Oh, last movie I got to shout out that I got to see for the first time this year, Interstellar. That was man, that was a fantastic movie. And I wish I could have. I wish I would have been able to go and watch it again because they brought it back to freaking IMAX. Uh, this year for the 10th anniversary. So I was like, man, I was hoping to be able to, find time, find a moment to go see it, but sadly didn't happen. Yeah, so and just like a shout out, I hope to. I need to catch up on. I haven't seen Sonic 2. So I still need to watch Sonic 2 and then get into Sonic 3 because I heard Sonic 3 was freaking dope. So I need to catch up on the Sonic movies and stuff. And I'm pretty sure there was tons of other movies this year I didn't get a chance to watch and check out and stuff. So, but yeah, shout out to the ones I did get to see though. All right, so moving on to TV shows. So just shouting out some from my list that I enjoyed this year. Um, New stuff. Probably some of the top ones. The Penguin. That was a fantastic week to week watch. Though I'm very sad that the Batman Part 2 um, got kicked further down the road to like 2026, I think, or 27, one of those two, whatever. So very sad to hear about that. But yeah, the Penguin, fantastic show. If you enjoyed the Penguin's performance in the Batman that came out a few years ago, whatever, watch the Penguin. Next up was a Shogun. Yeah, I know I like my Japanese samurai themed culture stuff, whatever. So this was a fantastic week to week watch. Uh, X-Men '97. Man, this took me and my wife back to our youth and stuff because luckily we held out. We didn't watch it until like the last maybe like two or three episodes or whatever. And so we got to binge watch a handful of episodes off of Jump. And even just from like the classic intro sequence, whatever, and then just like all the different things that transpired and played out throughout the show was super fantastic and stuff. So yeah, so definitely looking forward to more of that. Speaking of stuff, me and my wife both enjoyed the Fallout TV show. This, I feel like, can sit up there in the same tier as like the Last of Us TV show, where now I've never been like super big into the Fallout games. I've appreciated the world and stuff, whatever. My wife is a big fan of 4. I've talked about it before how I had bought Fallout 4 for myself back when it came out in 2004 or 15 on my PS4 or whatever. She was like, "Oh, what is this? This looks interesting, or whatever." So she tried it out. I never played the game again. She took over. She played the game through or whatever. Was playing through it again. I had bought it for her the following spring on Xbox for her birthday. She played through again a couple times, and then several times over the years, she's like re-downloaded it and like ran through it again, or at least like started playing through it again, whatever. So anywho, so we both watched the Fallout TV show together, and that was some very nice uh, weekly watching that we got to do together and stuff. So yeah, so shout out to the Fallout TV show, super dope. Uh, let's see, other stuff that I watched. Silo season 2 has been fantastic. That is still airing, but that has been some really good stuff. Speaking of which, this coming up weekend, if you watch this in time, Apple TV is doing a free weekend the first weekend of this year. So the weekend of the 3rd through the 5th. So lots of stuff to watch. Silo, Severance, another one I'm gonna talk about in a second, Dark Matter, um, lots of other stuff, whatever. So yeah, check it out. Uh, what's my oh yeah, Silo season 2. Uh, I'm a little ticked off at Squid Game season 2, simply because of the freaking cliffhanger and that there's going to be a part 3 coming out next year. So if I knew going in that for one there was going to be a third season that was coming next year, I probably would have just head off and not even watched it or whatever. So just because that cliffhanger is egregious. So that's all I'm gonna say on Squid Game season 2. The Boys new season was dope, crazy as always. House of Dragons was solid. Uh, Arcane, this new and final season was really good. Uh, I still need to watch the Bear season 3. Haven't gotten to that yet. I still need to watch the new Mayor of Kingstown season. So lots of stuff. Still need to catch up on Abbott Elementary. I've been slowly chipping away at that the last few days or whatever, just like watching an episode here or there because I'm like well over a season or so behind. So yeah. And I started. I watched season 1 of This Is Us. My heart, my heart, which right now, my heart. But oh, Cross. That was a fantastic kind of like a uh, detective drama show, whatever that I talked about a couple weeks ago, whatever. And then the newest addition to my list that I just finished watching today on New Year's Eve, Dark Matter. And the only thing I'm gonna say about this is kind of like a sci-fi thriller type of series. And the only piece of the synopsis I'm gonna mention though is that basically it deals with the main character gets abducted by a alternate reality version of himself from a different reality, and so the one that abducts him tosses him into the other guy's world, and the abductor takes his place in his current world, and he's married, he has a kid, and so you kind of see like where this might go or whatever. And so this is basically just like a story of him trying to figure out what's going on, what happened, and then how can he get back to his reality and stuff, whatever. So, fantastic show. Um, yeah, so I think that's it for regular TV shows and stuff. So, yeah, lots of good TV this year. All right, so now we're to anime. So, let me make a little timestamp note. Okay. And so before I dive into like the shows or whatever, Obviously paying respects to the GOAT Akira Toriyama and all the other mangaka and uh, authors and voice actors and everybody along the way that passed. But yeah, Akira Toriyama passing away this year definitely hit in the heart just because obviously the legend that created Dragon Ball and lots of other series. I mentioned Sandland, like and like the unfortunate timing of it all with Sandland, which is a manga he did back in the day, kind of getting a chance to kind of come back and get new life with the anime and stuff and a video game. And then Dragon Ball Daima is airing right now, and I've heard great things about that. Um, yeah, man, it's just very tragic. So, and obviously Dragon Ball Super is still going. So, but rest in peace to Toriyama. I already did an episode on that or whatever. So yeah, so diving into the anime. So I'm gonna kind of keep this kind of quick, but just kind of shout out some highlights and stuff throughout the year. I'm gonna kind of just like breeze through some of the different stuff from the different seasons, whatever. So starting off in winter of this year, so Solo Leveling came through hitting hard. I love Delicious in Dungeon. A Sign of Affection was awesome. I still want to go through. I still gotta go back and watch Sukumichi Moonlit Fantasy Season 2. The Wrong Way to Use Healing Magic was awesome. Hokkaido Girls was adorable. Unwanted Undead Adventure was dope. Sasaki and Peeps, man, that was this year. It's crazy to think about. It sure is what I wanted to get back to, and Weakest Tamer. And I think those are kind of like the main highlights from this season. Yeah, I still need to get around to freaking watching The Great Pretender and Fire Hunter season 2. So those are kind of the highlights for winter season. Let's dive into spring. Kaiju number 8 came out. New Demon Slayer, new Jobless, Windbreaker. I freaking love that. And it's kind of crazy because Windbreaker is a manga. So I had got access to the manga some maybe over a year or so ago, whatever, but I never ended up reading it or whatever, just because I was kind of whatever. But the anime, shout out to who's Cloverworks, like they brought that to life, man. So shout out to them for doing that. Uh, Let me see. Go Go Loser Ranger, aka Ranger Reject. Happy to see that, though. I know some people, some of the manga people, didn't like how some of the stuff was done. The bits and pieces that I saw, I enjoyed. Remaster was a very fun one. The Kura family got an anime. Reincarnated Aristocrat. That was a nice gem. Bartender, another nice gem. Uh, I still need to finish Train to the End of the World. The Fable. The anime was solid, but the manga is fantastic. Yada Garasu. I need to go back and finish that. It's so much stuff I gotta get to y'all, but Yada Garasu. This was a very, very, very awesome gem that I highly recommend y'all check out. And Dead Dead Demons. This was another gem as well that I highly recommend y'all check out. So yeah, so I think that's it for spring. Let's see, refresh on summer. Oh yeah, Oshinoko season 2. Aya, sometimes hides her feelings in Russian. Wistoria, Machine, both super great. We were super happy to see No Longer Allowed in Another World and how well that was adapted. Speaking of Cloverworks, the work they did on Elusive Samurai was super dope. Da, 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 da. Code Geass came back, man, with Rose of the Recapture. That was super good. Um, Dahlia and Bloom. That's another one that I enjoyed reading the manga a while back. Really enjoyed the anime on that. And yeah, I think that's kind of the main ones I wanted to shout out from summer season. And then fall. Man, I've just between life and just my mind frame lately, whatever. I I stopped watching fall anime like maybe 3 or 4 weeks in. So a lot of these just some general shout outs. But Dan to Dan getting a fantastic adaptation. I still haven't even finished ReZero season 2, but I'm glad that people are liking season 3. Uzumaki was a sad disappointment. Blue Box has been a pleasant surprise for a lot of people. I enjoyed what I read of the manga, so I look forward to circling back to this later on down the road and watching the anime of this, especially because the dub is coming, so that's probably the way I experienced it. Bleach Thousand Year War continues to shine. Shangri-La Frontier continues to shine. Orb, Orb. Where is my volume of Orb? Um, I am so happy seeing this manga get a fantastic adaptation and stuff. I'm letting it build up. It is obviously well past what was in that volume there, or whatever. So, what are they up to now? I think they're on. I think it's like up to like episode 10 or 12 or so. So they're about halfway through, but it's going to be a 25 episode season. So that's going to be a fantastic binge down the road. Let's see, I already mentioned Dragon Ball Daima, Yakuza Fiance. That was dope. The little bit I saw. Uh, Beastars final season that ended, and yeah, Suma Show, Blue Mabaru, and yeah, I think that's kind of it for like a lot of the main ones. Yeah, so yeah, man, yeah, my manga this year. I mean, anime. Lots of great things with manga this year. So, manga for me this year was definitely very interesting. Um, I had kind of, okay, so I got to read probably one of my favorites this year. It's a definitely an older series, but I got to find it and read it for the first time this year. And I did a whole episode on it, but it's called Rainbow. The Seven from Block 2, Cell 6. Fantastic series, fantastic read. Definitely one of my favorites this year. A new one that I've been reading and enjoying is A Steel of the Celestial Shadows. I just did a catch up episode on that last week, so go check that out. But that one has been fantastic. Also, Snowball Earth. That one's been super cool that I watched, that I read this year. The Darwin incident was interesting, but kind of got real crazy to a point, so I kind of stopped reading it. But it was interesting to check out at the beginning of the year. Now let me see other manga. I'm trying to think of other stuff that kind of stood out to me. Those are kind of like a few of like the main ones that I enjoyed from earlier this year. Um, I do know, we had several series that ended this year. So, um, My Hero Academia, that ended this year. Jujutsu Kaisen, Oshinoko. Now, I haven't finished JJK or Oshinoko. My Home Hero ended this year. I did finish that one. Call of the Night was like one of the first ones that ended beginning of this year. I still want to go back and read the rest of that. Land of the Illustrious ended this year after a long time. It was like on a long hiatus, then it came back and they finally finished that off. What are some other? Let me see. My Senpai's Annoying, Eden Zero, Don't Toy with Me, Miss Nagatoro. Let me see. Just kind of mentioning some. Sir Vamp, Boys Abyss. Don't know that one. Tomodachi Game ended this year. I want to see how that one turned out. Twin Star Exorcist. Shout out to Tail from Mike Check. Hokkaido Girls are super adorable. That ended. And what is it? Orient. And You and I Are Polar Opposites. That was a short run one that's got an anime coming in 2026. And yeah. So, but aside from those, I would say manga in general was pretty solid. As far as like, oh man, I forgot to mention. Obviously, a big highlight for me, anime wise, this year was a freaking uh uh Welcome to Demon School with Rumakun. Because I thought about that because of the Arthur's new other series, whatever, Itchy the Witch. But yeah, that Aruma super awesome. Uh, Ongoing stuff that I've read this year. One Piece continues to be super dope. Of course, we're in Elbath now, so that's been super fun. Kagurabachi, I haven't read much of that. I read up to see if it tracked it. Where did I stop at? I had read a good little chunk. Okay, so I read to about chapter 17, and I actually liked what I had read of that. So, Beat in Motion, I want to catch up on. Undead Unluck is supposed to be ending probably within the next couple of months. Same thing with Mission Yozakura Family, so I definitely want to catch up on those and finish those up. Spy Family continues to be solid. Sakamoto Days has been super dope. Super awesome. Excited for the anime to come out next week. Uh, Akane Banachi, man, I got to do a fantastic like 50 plus chapter binge read of that. So good, so good. Astro Royale was solid for the bit I got to check out, and I think that's it with that. Oh, Kaiju number 8 has actually been really solid recently, so curious to see how that's gonna go. That might be wrapping up soon. Shiba Inu rooms, Ruri Dragon that got to return. Hunter x Hunter is still going. So yeah, we got some stuffs. Um, Let me go over to uh, Manga Plus real quick because there's a few things. So the interesting thing with Manga Plus, I've really been liking a lot of their one shots and stuff as well that they've been doing. But just kind of just speaking in general, Mad has been super interesting. I was like 6 chapters behind on that, 6 to 8 chapters. Caught up on that. That's super dope. Um, Let me see. Uh, this The Mountain of Remains. This was a fantastic one shot. Highly recommend y'all checking that out. Centuria has been dope. Uh, Hero Organization has been pretty interesting. Raise Me Hero was a super fun one I read. Let me see. Oscar's Verdict was interesting. Smother Me's been okay. Come on, give me all the updates. Let's see. What is some other stuff on here? Those might be kind of like the main ones. I'm just kind of just scrolling through, see anything else catch my attention, whether it be a one shot or something else. No Name is a good new one that I've been reading. I need to catch up on that. Yeah, I guess that's kind of it. Oh, one shot. Here we go. Filter by. There we go. Filtered it by most recent so I can see what stuff I've checked out recently. I started reading this the other night. I need to go back and finish it. This is called The Night and the Corpse. It's a new one shot from the creator that did Claymore. Um, Let me see. I feel like there was another one with Open Arms. That was a pretty interesting and wild kind. Definitely has some like minor Chainsaw Man vibes, and I don't mean like on like with the dingy style. I just mean like the art style and just like how like unexpected like insanity happens. Um, in the Name of God was another one I liked, and yeah, I think that's it. So yeah, so overall, manga this year has been pretty solid. Let me see. I was trying to see if I could find. Uh, let's see anything else like so just kind of just standing out in my mind before I wrap this up. Cause yeah, cause like, I didn't do too much recording this year. The free run manga has been freaking fantastic. I'm super happy I jumped onto that after the anime ended and stuff. Yeah, anything else, y'all can check out those respective podcast episodes and stuff. So, but yeah, but all in all, a little bit of long-windedness on some of that stuff, but overall though, some really solid stuff that I enjoyed across the board. Like I said, everything from manga to anime to TV shows and everything in between. And I forgot to talk about this back in the gaming section, so I'm gonna do this before I close it out, because it is literally 3 minutes till midnight. But I don't get myself too much stuff, but one of my things I always say at the end of every podcast episode is treat yourself to something nice. And so that's what I did. I had got myself a PlayStation Portal. So this was a fun little uh, gadget I got for myself. And it definitely fits me, fits my lifestyle, my game usage situations or whatever. And it is done well enough to where between this and obviously the new Nintendo Switch coming out and the Steam Deck or whatever is kind of lit a fire under Sony again to look into developing a new fully handheld device. So I'm looking forward to seeing them do one. Xbox has one planned as well. So hopefully within the next few years we might have, even more handhelds and stuff. So, but yeah. So this was just like a nice little, treat for dad, treat for me. I got for myself earlier this year and stuff. So, but yeah. So with all that said, if anybody is still here, thank you so much for watching and or listening to this episode. As I wrap up this episode, which is literally going to end at the end of this year because it is less than a minute until the new year. But yeah, man, it is super awesome. And matter of fact, I'm gonna pause and check on my family real quick. Okay, so managed to catch the final few seconds of uh, being able to say Happy New Year with the family and stuff. So, but man, freaking 2025. This seemed like such a far away, far flung, sci-fi futuristic sounding year, long time ago, but it is here, and I'm freaking looking at my calendar. It is 12:07 a.m. 1/1/2025, man. Like that's crazy. That's crazy, but and shout out to the person somebody subscribed to me an hour ago. So shout out for getting me to 416 on YouTube right before the new year came in. So, but yeah. So I'm supposed to wrap this up. I've been going for an hour and a half, but figured I hope uh, this will maybe help entertain some people, or maybe give people just some things to reflect on during this New Year's Day, holiday break, whatever you might have going on in life, whatever. But like I said earlier, thank you so much for your time, for listening and or watching. Um, it is always appreciated, and I hope that I continue to do better, to be better, and give you something, helpful, informative. Like I said, whether you might learn something about parenting or life wise from me, or hear about a cool new manga, anime, TV show, movie, video game, or some combination of it all. Um, I hope that me doing this, uh, help somebody out there in some way, like I said, whether it be for the entertainment side of things or maybe even for the life side of things. And hopefully, depending on when I try to squeeze in another recording, hopefully, I'll be looking a little bit better, clean cut than this. I for sure will. Um, the, if I don't record before my birthday, whatever, for sure after January 6th, I'm gonna be looking nice and crisp and clean cut. And if I'm not, then something went wrong. But but with that being said, I'm gonna wrap this up and finish it off as as I always say, treat yourself to something nice, read some manga, read some manga, watch some anime TV shows, movies, play some video games, and of course, live your best life. And with that, Happy New Year. I am out, and I hope that the Robert a year from now is in a better place than the Robert that is recording this right now. So, and I hope that the Robert many years from now is in a even better place. Um, but I wish everybody out there a happy New Year. Okay, and to round off the show and to bring in the new year, I brought in my special guest, Mr. Vash. Say hi.
Hi.
And say Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Come, why are you leaving? You leaving me?
Oh, okay.
All right, say Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Bye.
Bye. It works.
See y'all later.
What's it doing?